Hello, my name is Danica, and it is my honour to present to you the world's hardest game, A Year in Summary 2023, a series started by HS Blue, which celebrates the activities of the world's hardest game community each year. For all of 2021 and 2022, Aaron sat in first place with his 514, and HS Blue held second place with his 523, both unchallenged. Now, after 3 years, it was time for that to change. We kick things off with a bang, as Raflik sets a 525 time on the first day of the year, putting him in third place. Just a few days later, Videocake passes Raflik with a 523.766, just 17 frames behind HS Blue. On the 28th of January, HS Blue and myself hosted a speedrun tournament for the world's hardest game. This was a lot of fun. We had 12 players play a total of 10 matches, all live streamed to HS Blue's Twitch channel. The winner was David Concal, who swept the floor by winning all of their matches. On the 7th of February, Vowls beat the level 29 world record by 1 frame. Vowls had discovered the time save in early January using Taz tools, but hadn't performed it in real time until now. This was later tied by GGG 502, the Me, and Raflik. 5 days later, Vowls found a much bigger time save, shaving 6 frames off the level 22 Taz time by weaving intricately through several enemy wheels. Just 2 days after that, he was able to do it in real time, reducing the community summer best yet again, later tied by the Me and Raflik. During this time, the Me had been quickly improving his full game PB, and on the 25th of February, he set a 547, making him the 21st person to achieve a sub 6. On the 18th of March, Gambus also showed a leap of improvement, knocking his PB from 541 down to 526.333, putting him in equal 7th place, tied with David Concal to the frame. Then, on the 30th of March, Adzup achieved a 558, becoming the 22nd person to have a sub 6 time. On the 3rd of May, the Me became the first person to beat Hatchiman's 521 in level 18, a time which had stood untied for 3 years and unbeaten for almost 4 years. A few days later, Raflik took the world record with a 519, and 3 days after that, the Me tied Raflik's time. The Me also continued to improve his full game skills, and on the 25th of April he achieved a 523.200, knocking HS Blue out of the top 2 for the first time since 2019. Despite dying 5 times, the Me managed to stay ahead of HS Blue thanks to the wall clip in level 6, a 6-second level 10, and 2 weaves in level 26. In May, a new runner named Lef joined the leaderboards, becoming the 23rd person to get a sub 6, and then quickly improving to a 532 in a matter of days. On the 6th of May, Raflik achieved a 1524 in level 26, surpassing Aaron's 1525, which had stood unbeaten for more than 3 years. Beating Aaron's 1525 demanded a difficult route which involves an enemy clip and many frame-perfect maneuvers. 2 days later, GGG 502 discovered that a frame could be saved on level 25 using the 412 height resolution.
Liddly diddly on the keys.
It was tied on the same day by Raflik and Vowls, and later tied by the Me, Dimrom, and Frames. On the 11th of May, GGG made a much more substantial discovery. Up until this point, level 5 had always been plagued by a problem. You have to wait for this enemy here, and if there's one thing that speedrunners don't like, it's waiting. So when GGG discovered an enemy clip that allowed the player to get past this spot without having to wait, it was a big deal. After several iterations, GGG was able to get the Taz time down to 20.12, saving 14 frames compared to the previous fastest route. Now it was time to do it in real time, but first, the Me hit the Taz route on level 20 again, shaving 4 frames off his previous world record. At this point, he was just 5 frames off the optimal time. However, that was but a small interruption as GGG continued attempts to get a world record in level 5 using the enemy clip. Eventually he did, getting a 20.17 on May the 12th. He continued to improve, but it was the Me who would be the first to tie the Taz, achieving a 20.12 the next day, later tied by Raflik and GGG. On the 15th of May, Raflik reduced his level 26 time further, setting a 15.23, just 1 frame off the Taz time. On the very next day, the Me also achieved a 15.23, putting him in equal first. The day after that, Raflik got a 10.08 on level 20, becoming the 4th person to pull off the Taz route, but unfortunately 1 frame too slow to be a world record. A few weeks later, the Mii improved on level 26 again, the only way he could, by tying the Taz time of 15.22, and this is where the record stands today. That Raisin though improved his full game PB to 525.366, moving up to 5th place. On the 20th of July, Dimrom improved his PB by 9 seconds, setting a 541.066. In July, the Mii was back on the grind for level 18 and managed to shave another frame off his time, breaking the tie and pushing Raflik back to 2nd place. The week after that, he improved his level 20 world record as well, this time getting a wall clip as he collected the final coin to allow an earlier exit past this enemy. Once again, the Mii was working on his full game PB, live streaming his world record attempts. On the 29th of August, he broke through the 520 barrier, becoming the 2nd person to ever do so. This was already shocking to the community, but the Mii continued his attempts and set a 5:15 just a few hours later, finally getting within striking distance of the world record. At this point, the tension was beginning to build, as the community began to realise it was not a matter of if Aaron's run would get beaten, but when. On the 15th of September, HS Blue improved his full game time by 2 seconds, setting his first PB since his former world record from 2019. HS Blue was back. He continued streaming world record attempts, and 2 days later he had a run on great pace. He hit the wall clip on level 6 without dying and breezed his way through level 12. If he did everything perfectly from here, he would get a world record. Unfortunately, he missed the last coin on level 16, setting him back by 1 second. However, he contained his nerves and clutched out the rest of the run, finishing with a time of 5:15.333, squeezing in front of the Mii, just 13 frames behind Aaron's time. Momentum was building. On the same day, new runner Rubik's Legend set a 5:46, the 24th person to get sub 6. On the next day, Vowels improved his PB to 5:31. 2 days after that, David Concau lowered their own time to 5:22.133, breaking the tie with Gambus and moving into 4th place. On the same day, HS Blue was on another great run. Deathless level 6, 6 second level 10, nailed level 12 and level 16. Unfortunately, he missed a coin on level 18, losing 1 second, but thanks to the faster level 10, he was still on world record pace. He hit the fast strat on level 21, didn't miss any coins in level 23, got the fast entry in level 26, along with 3 weaves, nailed level 29, and, just like that...
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
HS Blue had set a 5:14.05. putting him in 1st place again for the first time since 2019, and breaking Aaron's 4-year streak as the world record holder. At this point, the Mii, HS Blue, and Raflik were all actively trying to improve the world's hardest game 1 world record, so I decided to host an ESA-style Break the Record Live event, where players had 24 hours to set the best time they could in the world's hardest game 1, hoping to break the world record or just set a PB. The first major PB was from the Mii, who set a 5:14.29 a few hours into the event. This run, which included IL-12, was just 2 frames behind Aaron's former world record, and would have been a world record if not for a slight slip-up in level 26. The second major PB was, well, more than a PB. Raflik broke HS Blue's world record, achieving the first 5:13 in history. This spectacular run included the new level 5 enemy clip, sub 6 level 10, and 4 weaves in level 26, giving Raflik enough speed to be comfortably ahead of HS Blue's time. Raflik didn't stop there, however. He continued his attempts, and in the final 2 hours he set another world record, more than 2 seconds ahead of the record he had just set. This run was extremely strong throughout, unfortunately missing a coin in level 18, but clutching out the enemy clip on level 28, pulling well ahead of the previous world record. In total, 18 people participated in the event, and 11 of those set new PBs. Credit to the Mii who suggested the idea for this event. On the 1st of October, Goldenrod achieved a 5:54, becoming the 27th person to get a sub 6. And shortly afterwards, Kyouki became the 28th sub-6er with a 5:55. During November, GGG 502 was working on full game runs, chipping frames off his PB as he approached the 520 barrier. On December the 9th, his hard work paid off as he got a 519.466, making him the 5th person to ever get below 520. On the same day, Up Ellie set a 553, the 29th sub-6. A week later, TWHG improved his own PB to 533, putting him in 16th place. At this point, it was midway through December. We'd had a tournament, a Break the Record live event, lots of cool PBs and discoveries, and 3 new world records. It had been a great year for the World's Hardest Game 1, but one player wasn't finished yet. After nearly a year of grinding, after being in second place 2 times, the me finally stood at the very top of the leaderboard, becoming the 3rd person to hold the world record since Aaron's 514. However, that wasn't entirely the end of the World's Hardest Game 1 for the year. On Christmas Day, Kyouki climbed up the leaderboards, uploading a 524.200, putting them in 8th place. In the last few days of the year, Dimrom and Raflik discovered that some window sizes very near to the game's aspect ratio behave differently to other window sizes. Using these resolutions, Raflik was able to save a frame from level 20 and level 29, and 4 frames off level 26, and GGG found a 1 frame save on level 28. By the end of the year, more than a second had been shaved off the Taz Summer Best, reducing it to 4, 52 and 6 frames. The me reduced the real-time Summer Best to 452.666, just 14 frames behind the Taz. 116 full game PBs were uploaded to speedrun.com, including 30 new players who joined the leaderboards this year. But that was just the World's Hardest Game 1. At the start of the year, Raflik held the world record in the World's Hardest Game 2 with a time of 11 minutes and 46 seconds, and I was the only other player to have a sub-12 time. That changed on June 25th when Victor GD achieved an 11:57, becoming the 3rd person to get a time below 12 minutes. In August, I began live streaming the World's Hardest Game 2 in an attempt to reclaim the world record. After brushing up my skills, I was able to get the record, shaving 2 seconds off Raflik's time. However, this was short-lived as Raflik responded with an 11:22 on the same day, beating my world record by 22 seconds. Being the fastest is an admirable goal, but there was another prize in the World's Hardest Game 2 that some were aiming for. A literal prize. In 2022, Maximum had offered a $250 bounty to the 2nd person to beat the World's Hardest Game 2 without dying. Many players attempted this, the closest being Videocake, who achieved a 1-death run. However, the ultimate victor of the bounty was Pirelon, who completed their 0-death run on the 2nd of September with a time of 15 minutes and 52 seconds. Pirelon only started playing the World's Hardest Game 2 less than a month earlier, making this achievement extra impressive. Pirelon won the bounty, and there was no more money on the line. However, one player kept going, and that was Victor GD. First and only player to beat the World's Hardest Game 4 deathless. In October, he beat the World's Hardest Game 1 deathless. Now, he had his eyes set on the World's Hardest Game 2. Not only did he get a 0-death run, but he set a time of 11 minutes and 30 seconds, the fastest deathless run of the game, just 8 seconds behind the world record. Currently, Victor is the only person to have completed 3 out of the 4 games deathless, the only one remaining being the World's Hardest Game 3, which no one has completed deathless yet. A shout out also to TWHG, AdsUp, GGG502 and David Concal, who all joined the World's Hardest Game 2 leaderboard this year, and to Videocake, who improved their personal best down to a 12:59 on the very last day of the year, putting them in 4th place. In the world of individual level speedruns, it was GGG502 who dominated, uploading more than 100 IL videos during 2023. At his peak, GGG held the record tied or untied in 49 out of the 50 levels from the World's Hardest Game 2, missing out only on level 46. In many levels, he was able to shave off frames or even seconds from the previous record by using low quality resolutions, enemy clips, and other tricks. GGG was also responsible for compiling the first proper tool-assisted speedrun of the World's Hardest Game 2, with help from the community, clocking in at 856.933 on high quality and 839.033 when low quality is allowed. There was also some activity in the World's Hardest Game 2 tutorial this year. In February, after much practice and improvement, Dimron was able to beat the tutorial in 29.933 seconds, the first ever sub-30 time. This impressive run made use of a triple enemy click route in level 4 to save time, and almost tied Taz except for losing 2 frames on level 2. This stood as the record for some time, until an even faster route for level 4 was discovered, and then implemented by GGG502, who, after several PBs, whittled his time down to a 29.266, which is where the record stands today. A shout out also to Jacob Moesner, who did a tutorial run in 31.133 seconds in October, claiming 3rd place. In the World's Hardest Game 3, I lowered the 100% world record, setting a 39.27, the first sub-40 run in the category, on the 6th of July. Later that month, Pyrrhon joined the community and uploaded their first run of the World's Hardest Game 3 Any%, with a time of 57 minutes and 13 seconds. On the same day, Raflik shattered the 100% world record, lowering the time to 36.23, more than 3 minutes faster than my time. This run was extremely impressive, and not only did it earn Raflik the full game world record, but he also improved his own level 3 100% world record, and claimed the level 5 100% record, which, thanks to his efforts in 2022 and early 2023, meant that he now held the world record in every single level category in the World's Hardest Game 3. However, Raflik didn't stop there. He went on to improve his Any% time. At the start of the year, he was 31 seconds behind the world record, and he wasn't satisfied with that. On the 15th of August, Raflik achieved a 29.04, beating my world record by 22 seconds. Huh, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? At this point, Raflik had proven complete dominance of the World's Hardest Game 3, as he held the world record in all 12 categories. When someone holds the world record in every category in a game, it's natural for others to try and challenge them. In December, that challenger was Pyrrhon. From his first sub-hour in July, Pyrrhon had been steadily improving his Any% time, and on the 15th of December, he achieved a 29.34, putting him in 3rd place, just 30 seconds behind Raflik. He did not earn a world record here. However, he found success in another place. On the same day, while doing attempts at level 4 Deathless, Pyrrhon set an individual level world record, with a time of 7 minutes and 51 seconds, breaking Raflik's 10 out of 10 ILs and 12 out of 12 records. On the 24th of December, I released an online multiplayer mod for the World's Hardest Game 3, and had the privilege of playing it live with many other members of the World's Hardest Game community. This was a lot of fun, although there were some major bugs and issues that occurred. Because of this, the server is not functioning properly at the moment, but I will try to fix this soon. Finally, in the very last moments of the year, Victor GD uploaded his first speedrun of the World's Hardest Game 3, a time of 42 minutes and 8 seconds with 51 deaths. A very solid start, and I look forward to seeing where Victor goes in the future. In February, Raflik joined the World's Hardest Game 4 Any% glitchless leaderboard with a time of 31 minutes and 55 seconds. 2 days later, VideoCake improved his glitchless time, setting first a 34.49 and then a 32.40 the day after. On the 25th of February, a very interesting discovery was made. It started with Vows posting this screenshot of the player in 1C1, seemingly floating over nothing. It turns out that if the player is right next to the edge of the screen, that edge of the player will not be considered to be above the pit. Raflik immediately saw the potential in this. If you had the right alignment, you should be able to cross this gap here. In no less than 4 minutes, Frames had done it, proving that the skip was possible. Not only was this a really cool trick, but it also had huge implications for speedrunning, since you could skip collecting the key in C1, which is a very slow process due to the conveyor belts. This proved instrumental in Frames' next speedrun. In this speedrun, Frames made use of the 1C1 skip, several glitches, and an epic amount of continuous motion to collect the green paint as quickly as possible. He called it the World's Hardest Game 4 Jacob%. Okay, it was more of an April Fool's prank than a speedrun, but entertaining nonetheless. The World's Hardest Game 4 picked up again in August when Raflik did some ILs, claiming the world record in levels 1, 3 and 5. His level 1 speedrun made use of the newly found 1C1 skip, and his level 5 speedrun was the first sub-6 run of the level. Not only that, but his level 5 had been achieved in a full game run, which he finished in 29 minutes and 32 seconds, earning him 3rd place. Raflik didn't stop there. In October, he went on to claim the world record in level 2 and lower the level 1 record below 6 minutes for the first time, beating Vows, who had held the record with a 6:06. However, these ILs were but a warm-up for the main prize. You see, at this time in early October, Raflik held the world record in the World's Hardest Game 1, he held the world record in the World's Hardest Game 2, he held the world record in the World's Hardest Game 3. Up until this point, no one had ever held the world record in all 4 games. What Raflik wanted more than anything was to sweep the leaderboards by holding the world record in all 4 major categories. On the 7th of October, Raflik got a 28-minute flat run, putting him 16 seconds behind Frames 2744 from 2021. It was only a matter of time, and 5 days later, he did it, setting a 27:27, which broke Frames' reign of almost 2 years, made him the 2nd person to achieve a sub-28, and made him the first player in history to sweep the leaderboards. Raflik held the sweep for 70 days before the Mii bested him in the World's Hardest Game 1. One of the most exciting things about speedrunning is sharing it with other people. In July, HSBlue and myself appeared once again at ASM, the Australian Speedrunning Marathon. I had the privilege of commentating while HSBlue raced through the World's Hardest Game 1, finishing with a time of 6:25. And afterwards, we switched roles, HSBlue commentating as I showcased the World's Hardest Game 3 100%.
Oh my goodness.
Just 2 weeks later, HSBlue flew over to Sweden to play on a much bigger stage, ESA, the European Speedrunning Assembly. This was an awesome run. Not only did it have the one and only HSBlue showcasing the World's Hardest Game on an international scale, but the equally legendary Maximum joined him on the couch, providing very entertaining commentary. HSBlue performed well under the pressure, nailing the level 8 wall clip, 2 weaves in level 10, fast entry in level 26 and level 29, beating the game in 5 minutes and 44 seconds, the fastest World's Hardest Game speedrun in a marathon. In the world of multiple World's Hardest Games, it shouldn't be a surprise that Raflik took the crown, publishing a 1:26:59 quadfecta any percent speedrun on the 23rd of August. And this earned him not 1 but 3 world records, those being quadfecta, trifecta, and duo 3 and 4. On the 12th of December, Raflik claimed the duo 1 and 2 world record with an 18:21, and on the same day, Pirelon joined the any percent trifecta leaderboards with a time of 1 hour, 8 minutes and 23 seconds. The editor community was a bit quiet in the first half of the year, but things really picked up after Abho announced the July 2023 level making contest, with the theme being Factory. Lots of fantastic levels resulted from this, 25 in total, with the winner being Oppenheimer's Hideout, an epic twisted dungeon level by Tapped Change. At the same time, Abho began development on a new editor, known as Edit 3, or the World's Hardest Game Ultimate Edition. The goal of this editor was to combine the multi-area functionality of Edit 2 with the quality of experience of Edit 1. The first version was released on July the 4th, with regular updates throughout July and August, with help along the way from Federico Calcara, Podev, and Vistel. As well as multi-area, Edit 3 had other new features like timelines, functions, quick copy-paste, moving platforms, movement stacking, and more. In August, Videocake announced he would be running an editor tournament in Edit 3, a sort of August 2023 championship, if you will. The tournament consisted of 26 levels of increasing difficulty, and the objective was to get the least deaths on your first playthrough. Out of the 12 participants, Audi Gamer and myself made it to the grand final, upon which Audi Gamer gave me a thorough thrashing, beating me in both games by a fair margin. Releases of the main version of Edit 3 stopped in September, but Podev continued development, releasing a branch version on the 23rd of September. As well as adding highly requested vanilla features such as paints, custom themes, and custom music, Poe was also open to adding non-vanilla features such as speed changes and a multitude of functions that allowed things like detecting and controlling the position of the player. There were more than 1,000 levels published in 2023, so I can't possibly cover them all. However, one of my favourites was Kiwi Trials, an epic 11-room collaboration by Abho, Vistel, Podev, Videocake, and Frost. Custom levels are a great way to explore your creativity, but using an editor isn't the only way to do it. Many players made their own remakes of the world's hardest game this year. These are some of my favourites. I am very proud to say that in 2023, I was able to make a dream come true and launch a website for the world's hardest game. This is a very exciting project that is now more than a year in the making. In March, I launched the website with just a very simple homepage and getting started page. Since then, it has received updates, adding a custom leaderboard search tool, which allows you to view medal counts, summer best and more, and a route list for the World's Hardest Game 1 and 2. The website is an ongoing project, so expect to see more features and upgrades in 2024. In the meantime, make sure to share it with all your friends.
Let's go!
Right. So, do you have like a Samsung phone?
Level 17?
That run was so good! That was so good! Dude, that was the run!
There's no way!
And I'm assuming I'm second?
Perfect 16!